welcome to West Bloomfield 911. I'm Officer Rick, and it's wonderful to have you join us again today. On behalf of Chief Mike Patton and the men and women of the West Bloomfield Police Department, it's great to have you here. Now, before we get started, I'd like to introduce our very special guest. He's on that county east of us, Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel.
Rick, thanks.
Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Great show.
Well, we're great to have you here. Again, you've been here before, so we're great
I
to
have.
have you
It was
back.
a while back, though.
Yeah, it has been. I think we were using film in those days. But,
Yeah.
Glad to have you here. Now, don't run away. We're going to do something we call the Corner Spotlight, where we introduce the folks to someone in our department.
Look forward to it.
Folks, if you look on the screen, you will see the smiling countenance of Detective Stephen Trabulsy, who's currently assigned to the Investigations Unit. He's been with us since May of 2002, so he's been 13 years here in West Bloomfield, serving the department and serving the community. Steve is one of the good guys, and you know what really makes him good is he likes steak, which is also my favorite food. So steak it is when you and I go out to lunch, Steve. His favorite book is science fiction, and he loves A Few Good Men, that 1992 movie starring Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and a whole cast of characters. I enjoyed that very well. His favorite music is almost anything, and it really broke my heart to hear him say that, almost anything except classical. Man, Steve, what's wrong with you? Come on, I like classical. It's good stuff. That's why the word classic is in there. He's loves sports. He's an avid hockey fan. He said, I love to play, coach, and watch hockey. And he does, believe me. And I like hockey too, Steve. And you know what? I can't wait for the new season to start. His favorite quote is, bad company corrupts good character. And he takes it from a wonderful source. It's the Epistle of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 33. Steve couldn't have said it any better. So folks, when you see Steve out there, wave to him, say hello. He's one of the good guys. And when some of the older guys like myself leave, we will have the department in good hands with Detective Steve Trabulsy. Steve, I'll see you at the barn. Folks, before we go with our guest, and we're going to turn the corner spotlight off on Steve, I'd like to give you a law enforcement fact of the day. You may not realize it, but we have over 900,000 law enforcement officers protecting you and working on your behalf throughout these United States and the territories of our great country. And the police are on all levels. We have federal law enforcement, state, county, local, and a lot of law enforcement that you might not even think of. There are railroad police officers, campus police officers, we have tribal police officers, and all of these folks try to work together to keep you safe. And remember that all of them face the same dangers, doesn't matter what level they work on. So please keep us all in your thoughts and prayers, because we all want to go home at the end of the day. So remember, keeping you safe and working on your behalf, 900,000 people in law enforcement, my brothers and sisters in blue. Listen, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with our very special guest, County Executive Mark Hackel, from the county to the east, that great county of Macomb. We'll be right back.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The Michigan Sheriff's Association has been on the front line of providing education, training, and programs to Michigan communities since 1877. As the only organization to officially represent the Office of Sheriff in Michigan, the MSA works toward improving professional standards to better protect the citizens. To learn more about the Michigan Sheriff's Association, call 517-485-3135 or visit mysheriff.org.
Hello, and we are back. West Bloomfield 911, glad you tuned us in. We have a very special guest, and this is a repeat performance for him. He's been here once before, but at that time, he was the sheriff of Macomb County. Now we'd like to welcome County Executive Mark Hackel.
Rick,
Mark, thanks for staying with us.
Thanks. I actually miss that role as sheriff. I adored that responsibility.
Well, blue blood runs in your family.
Yeah.
Of course, it was brown, but same thing.
Yeah, my dad was a cop when I was 2 years old. So I've known law enforcement. It's something that's still near and dear, and I can't, 5 years of being county executive, I got to tell you, I still miss it each and every day.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a passion for it, and like I say, it's something I really adored. So new role, new responsibility.
Right.
We're taking it on, but still can't help but every day think about that public safety side of things.
Now, do you still find yourself when you're going down the road kind of focusing like a cop, looking for
Always.
potential problems?
Always. You're always noticing things that are going on, and you sense it, and it's funny, everybody else in the car doesn't have a clue.
Right.
When you're talking about something or saying something, they're looking at you kind of funny.
That's right.
You're mentioning it.
And still have the cop sense of humor too,
Right.
right? That
Right.
no one else understands.
Right. It's kind of hard, but it's somewhat of a protective thing that we have,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and people don't understand unless you've been part of it.
Right. But you have a very important role now as the county executive. Macomb is the third largest county in the great state of Michigan. And as we were saying off camera, I remember when Macomb was all country way back when, but of course Oakland County was the same way, but that's not the case anymore.
Very similar. I mean, if you think about Macomb and Oakland County, back years ago, Oakland used to be part of Macomb County. That was way, way back in the 1800s, yeah. So, but again, if you take a look at Macomb and Oakland County, even the migration of population from the south to the north,
Right.
There's still a lot of farm land in Oakland County as well as Macomb. There's over 500 farms in Macomb County in the north part, but boy, very manufacturing-based, automotive-based, small business-based, and a lot of, I guess, housing in the south and now in the middle. But we're up to 860,000 people.
Wow.
And in fact, since the 2001 census, Macomb County has grown. It is the fastest growing county in the state.
Oh, I didn't know that.
19 people a day since 2001.
Is
and
that right?
It's exploding, the population base. So we're fortunate, and with that being said, obviously taking on a role of county executive was to try to get people to understand the Macomb brand, who we are, what we're all about, and also fix the financial situations, which we have done. And again, very much like Oakland County, our financial situation mirrors that of Oakland. So we're in great shape. We've got a lot of good things going on in the county, and I'm very fortunate to be in that position as the executive to really make some of that transformation for Macomb County.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I know that, like when I went on your website, you really are pushing Macomb County as a county of the future. How do you balance making Macomb County a 21st century county and a county of the future with new technology and all the new things that population growth brings, but maintaining and keeping some of the good things that the county offered when it was maybe a quieter place to live and still somewhat rural? How do you balance that?
Well, we look at Macomb County as 27 municipalities that make up Macomb County, each one of them unique, but yet if you look at it and you tend to think, okay, what is it Macomb County is all about? It's always been there, but the reality is we've never gotten out and kind of talked about it or spoke about it, the brand, if you will. Macomb County is automotive, it's manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, it is defense. I mean, the incredible defense capabilities we have in Macomb County, and if you look at the technical jobs that are there, especially at the General Motors Tech Center and that corridor or clustering, if you will, with defense, it is agriculture. It is what we call the blue economy, meaning, the pure Michigan brand. Boy, it couldn't get any purer than 41 miles of a river running through it naturally, as well as 31 miles of coastline of Lake St. Clair, the busiest freshwater lake in the entire country during the summer months. Nowhere else do they have as much boating, fishing activity in any of the Great Lakes or any lake in the entire world on a freshwater body. Lake St. Clair is it. So fortunately, we are able to get that word out and talk about some of the things that are happening, much less the advancements of where we're headed with some of the uniqueness of Macomb County. And it really was just a matter of us, I think, changing the form of government, which we never did. It was 26 commissioners re-elected every 2 years.
Yes.
I think it was more interested in the politics than it was really about the place and the people. And so my fortunate opportunity now is to get out there and let people know about the place and the people and how it fits into the region, because whether it's Oakland, whether it's Detroit, Wayne County, St. Clair County, Lapeer, we are part of a region, and I keep, I want to make sure we're very focused on Macomb adds value to the region, and we respect and recognize the region adds value to Macomb. You just got to let people understand, what is that value? What do you have to offer?
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. You said that at one time, and I know the other counties were the same way, they didn't have a county executive. They were run by a board of county commissioners. When did that change for Macomb? And of course, you are the first Macomb County executive. When did that change? When did you get elected?
It's interesting too when you think about that. As a kid growing up, I was born and raised in the city of Warren, which obviously is Macomb County, and never would I have thought about even being a police officer, much less the sheriff. Having run for office in 10 years of being the sheriff, 30 years within the department, as time went on, you started realizing there is a need for a new form of government, and the public supported that in 2009. In 2010, they decided they had to go out for a vote as to who that very first county executive was going to be. And it never in my wildest dreams as a kid growing up would I ever thought about it, because it never existed to begin with.
Right.
But being a person that would be a candidate for that, I really didn't have the interest at first. I mean, I knew we needed the position. I was more interested in the reality that finally we're going to have some leadership to take on the financial problems and move the county forward.
Right.
But as county sheriff, I realized, that's going to be a very important position. Somebody has to understand public safety and have a passion or care for it. And of the candidates that were talking about it, I didn't quite see that. I didn't see that passion or that interest, and I thought, well, you can't complain if you're not going to own the responsibility. And if somebody does come in and doesn't have that same interest or passion about public safety, you may get left out of the budgetary concerns to really help elevate that.
Right.
So I had a lot of discussions internally. I had a lot of kind of self-thought as to what I needed to do. Wasn't really ready to give up law enforcement, even though I've been in it 30 years. But I realized, this is a time and opportunity to try to do something different and take public safety to a whole different level. Rather than just still wanting to be that street cop. And so I did. So I ran for the office and overwhelmingly got the support of the public and became the first county executive in 2011. January 1st was the very first day of that new form of government and the responsibility that I'd taken on.
And you kind of hit the ground running, because you guys have done a lot of interesting and innovative things out in your county. And one of them that is pretty fascinating to my standpoint, which is great for law enforcement as well, so you still have your hand in law enforcement to some degree, is you have a system called COMTEC. Now, what does COMTEC stand for, and why don't you tell us a bit of what that is?
Very simple. The name itself is Communications Technology Center. And so COMTEC was a very simple, I guess if you will, name to create this, the facility we created to name it. And it came about when I was a sheriff running for county executive. I went to the Department of Roads realizing that was going to be a responsibility. If I became elected as the county executive, I would be taken on. Went downstairs, they showed me this room which had 6 monitors. And they were talking about these cameras that they were monitoring on intersections. And I'm looking at these monitors and I'm thinking to myself, what does this do? And the Department of Roads says, well, we're poised to get over 300 cameras. Every major intersection in Macomb County is going to be lit up on these high-tech, high-resolution cameras on 360 poles throughout the entire county. And I'm thinking, nowhere else in the state do they have this, or they're going to have the availability of what they had in this Department of Roads. And I'm thinking, boy, as a sheriff, this would be incredible for us to have this access to these cameras, but not only, Rick, the access to the cameras, but controlling the actual intersection lights. As you well know, if you had a child maybe drowning in a pool, extremely unfortunate situation, you were trying to beg and borrow for marked cars, unmarked cars, fire apparatus, to block off intersections to get that ambulance to get to a hospital. They can do that remotely now from one location, and they were able to do that from the Department of Roads. And I'm thinking to myself, how do we combine this? How do we take Department of Roads technology and advancements, bring together law enforcement and emergency management with all the technology that's available? What could we create? Well, we came up with the idea of our emergency manager, the people from our IT department, the Department of Roads, and then obviously my background in law enforcement, brought them together and we created this center. It was a repurposing of a building that really wasn't being utilized. And today, the wow factor of this facility and the creation of it, which I think the centerpiece is a 20-foot by 50-foot monitoring wall that has capability of monitoring 54 different incidents on this wall for dispatchers to see firsthand what is happening out there on the roadways, and having the capabilities of seeing from every intersection in the county what's going on a roadway.
Right.
Well, I tell you, it goes beyond our imaginations, because now even tactical units, let's say a school happens to have some kind of a active shooter in a building. We have now, working with the schools, have been able to infiltrate the camera systems through the IPs, where now we can go in and control their cameras. If they have cameras in that building, we can control the cameras.
Amazing.
So can you imagine a tactical unit showing up to the scene, not having to look at schematics or diagrams on a piece of paper to go, okay, well, I think if we go over here, we can get into this building, we can access that room. They're looking at stuff on a diagram. We're looking at it live. Now they got somebody that's actually in that room watching all the cameras. You can see the active shooter, you can see the incident playing out, and you can tell if there's doorways or accesses or exits to get kids out of a room. You're watching all that real time. Now, we have the capabilities of doing that, and what we just we show the media is during severe weather, we now can turn those cameras to the sky. If
Yeah,
there
I
is
saw
a
the
tornado,
video on that. It's pretty amazing.
there's a tornado, somebody calls up and says, I think I see a funnel cloud. Well, you can't really activate sirens just because somebody said, I
Right.
think I see it. We can now turn the cameras to the sky and see if we see what the public sees. And if we do, all of a sudden all the emergency warning systems are going off. We're now getting first responders going to a location because they're seeing it firsthand, and the dispatchers are watching maybe the destructive path of that tornado as it's actually traveling through the county. So the advancements of technology with one facility or one center is beyond our wildest dreams, and we know it's going to. I think there's going to be more advancements coming out of that one center, that facility.
Now, how long has that center been in operation?
About 2 years now.
Have you seen, I know it has great potential, and have you seen that potential already played out in some events that have happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as I was mentioning, some of the where we're actively having to shut down, or I should
Okay,
say,
so
switching
that's already
signals.
been done.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay,
that's already taking place.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's already happening. So I
Wow.
mean, the ability to see what's going on a roadway. You have a bank robber. I was a former dispatcher at 18 and a half years of age, working for the Sheriff's Department, and it's always been a passion, a love of mine anyways. And I have a great deal of admiration and
Yes.
respect for dispatchers.
I was a dispatcher for a while too. So.
And to sit there in this room and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, way back when, the ability to actually watch. Now dispatchers are actually providing some level of law enforcement, meaning that if somebody calls up and says, hey, we just had a bank robbery at this particular location, not only are they trying to get the cars there, now we're actively working with Department of Roads, getting cameras lit up on that particular intersection where that bank may be, and we're zooming in to see if we can see that car, that may have been a description given.
Right.
And they're now, dispatchers are watching to see, and if they see it, they can now talk directly to the unit saying, hey, I think the vehicle we're looking for is now traveling northbound on Gratiot, or whatever it might be in Macomb County. And to me, I sit back and I'm thinking, what an exciting opportunity for dispatchers, to be able to see this stuff live and firsthand. And if there's an incident that happens in an intersection, boy, what a savings it is for us too, because we have the capabilities of recording all that as well.
Yeah.
So now you go back to the actual film to see how an accident played out in a particular intersection as well, and it saves time and, like I say, money when it comes to reconstruction of accident scenes.
Yeah.
So.
And hopefully help down the line with when they go to court and all that sort of thing.
Correct.
As well. So,
Correct.
Would you have thought of anything like this would be even possible when you first started in law enforcement? I know I started even earlier than you did. Some of this stuff is just beyond the wildest imagination of what is possible.
It is. I bet we're both dating ourselves when we stop and think about it. I mean, we didn't. I started before there was 911. Which was before E911, which people sometimes don't understand the difference between that. Before there were cameras in scout cars, and then we're talking about body cameras on officers. I mean, all the technological advancements that have happened over the years. So, and it's happening at a rapider pace. So it's happening faster than what I think it had progressed over the past several years. But to be able to see the stuff on the cameras on the intersections, and it's funny because when I was a sheriff, people had asked me about those cameras. There were only a few at the time. They'd say, "What are those cameras doing up on those intersections? Are they trying to catch us for speeding if we run through the light or whatever?" And I didn't know what they were. I mean, here I am as a sheriff, and I don't know what Department of Roads is doing because it's run by the road department. And so I would say to them, I say, "Yeah, I think they're taking pictures of your car just to get people to slow down." And now I'm looking at that thinking to myself, unbelievable that we were able to capture and bring together all these separate silos, if you will, emergency management, IT, Department of Roads, and sheriffs. We're all in separate silos run by separate entities. Within county government. And we brought them together, and the uniqueness of this, we built it with a capacity to take on any department's dispatching responsibilities for the entire county, if they so choose. And I'm very careful with that because, if departments want to maintain or continue theirs, please do so. I mean, we're not looking to do that. But if for some reason they realize, wow, technology is advanced to the point where we can no longer afford that, we have to do something, and we work on it in a way.
And that does seem to be the way of the future.
Correct. And we try to work on it in a way where there's opportunities for, if they do decide to disband, that we have the capabilities of bringing the people on board within our dispatch center.
You don't have to seek expansion, the ability's already there.
Right, and to not worry about, okay, somebody's going to lose their job, how do you figure out a way of, bringing them in or transition them in? So there's that period or that opportunity to do so too, because we're so large now.
Can you say who's involved, how many agencies you have in
Most
there now?
every northern agency within the county has participated. They're always part of the sheriff's dispatching, but now we've taken on the largest township in the state of Michigan, Clinton Township, and one of the largest cities, the fourth largest city in the state of Michigan, which is the second largest in Macomb County, Sterling Heights. So, these departments, it was a challenge because of labor issues and people
Right.
concerned about losing jobs.
Right.
But we opened the doors for opportunities for them to hire on to the sheriff's dispatching center. Some came, some decided maybe it was time to retire, and others just maybe weren't happy about wanting to work for some other entity. But it was a decision Sterling Heights made, and
Right.
one that I think is paying dividends, not only in a cost savings, but incredible technology advancements to help them deal with public safety.
Well, let's talk about something else, if you don't mind, Mark. We've
Sure.
got a few minutes left. Jail management, because overcrowding in jails, and it's particularly acute right now in Wayne County, unfortunately, with the jail that they've had trouble with completing. What's the big deal with jail management? Why is that important?
I think people tend to look at jails and say, you know what, okay, if there's overcrowding, you can't release prisoners, we got to do something. Alternatives to incarceration are extremely important. We can't continue doing what we're doing, warehousing people because they commit a crime. It's a huge cost to the public. If
Yes,
the public
it is.
wants us to do it, unfortunate reality is they're going to have to pay more to have us do that. But let's face it, I mean, my times of watching what's been happening with the shutting down of mental health facilities and the problems we're seeing today with substance abuse, that has become our biggest problem. I mean, jails now have become the new asylum for mental health patients.
Yes,
And it's in an
absolutely.
appropriate location for them.
Right.
So before you build more facilities, which I think was a challenge in Wayne County, what they did, you need to be smarter at what we're doing with the prisoner population, and that's just not happening. So we've commenced a study in the county. We got in consultants to take a look at, hang on a second, what type of people are we bringing in here first? And are there alternatives first before we start warehousing them? Because I think everyone, even your listening audience here today, probably can relate to somebody, whether it's a family member, somebody that's close to them, that has some kind of mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and they realize that this person comes in contact with law enforcement, that's probably not the right place to put them in jail because they need help and they need support.
Right, absolutely.
Granted, some of them are violent and they need to be put in jail, you do that. But the appropriate thing first before you start building, because build and they will come.
Yeah.
Meaning judges will send them and
That's
sentence them
right.
to a facility if
That's
there's
right.
room or there's housing units available for them. We need to figure out, are there other alternatives first to deal with these people so that we're assessing and addressing the problem with people on the front end. Is it a reason as to why they're causing problems in society or creating these crime particular situations? And then you're really going to be able to get to something so you're not seeing a lot of repeat offenders and recidivism. So I think what we're doing is an opportunity for us to kind of take a lead in the county to say, I think we can do better. I think if there's one central location that if anybody makes an arrest, you bring him into, and there's an assessment done immediately on the front end, you're saving costs when it comes to prosecutorial, when it comes to the courts as well. And I just think it's the right thing to do is assess the people before we start warehousing them in jail facilities.
Well, real quick, how does that work if I'm a local agency? Now they have to come to my local lockup at first. Is that then after that they go to the assessment area?
It would be up to the locals to make
I
a
see.
determination.
Okay.
I mean, they could, quite honestly, what I would envision is right away, once somebody is arrested, that connectivity and that understanding, especially with new technology, while they're writing reports and they're putting the information together, they take it right to one central assessment location, drop that person off, and with all the documents and paperwork, and they get right back out on the road and let the correctional institution handle it
Take
and
care
manage
of it.
it from that point 24/7.
Well, that seems to be a good plan for the locals as well. Get their people, like you said, back on the road. Cuts a lot of our problems down.
Yeah,
So.
it's different, and I think unfortunately sometimes change creates a lot of controversy question. But I think if you laid it out and give people understanding what this really means, and they get a good idea what this vision is, I think you're going to start to see more buy-in.
Well, you've got a lot of good things going on in Macomb County, and unfortunately, though, we've kind of run out of time, so we could talk for another hour and a half, though,
bet,
without
Rick.
a doubt. Mark, we're going to do somewhat of a memorial, and folks, you know that we remember fallen officers, and in this case, we are going to do a remembrance, but it's a bit different because we want to have you become aware of one of our canine officers who served this community and served this department for a long time. Now, if you remember when I told you before, when we speak of canine officers, in our world of law enforcement, that's referring to our dogs. They are the canine officers, and the human counterpart is a canine handler. So today we'd like to acknowledge the service of Canine Cody, who died on September 4th, 2000. He was a longtime partner for canine handler Larry Missett, who is now retired, and they served the community very well. And Canine Cody was a wonderful dog serving this community, and we bid him farewell, and he truly was always faithful. Folks, we'd like to thank our guest, Mark Hackel, for coming on the show.
Thanks,
Mark.
Mark.
Thank you for coming.
You bet, Rick.
We want to thank you for watching, and please remember, folks, you can tune us on at Civic Center TV, But if you're not able to catch us on the television, please go to the internet at civiccentertv.com. Watch us at your convenience. And we want to thank you. Chief Patton thanks you. My brothers and sisters in the West Bloomfield Police Department thank you. And please remember, be safe, take care of each other. Tomorrow is promised to no one. I'm Officer Rick, and I'll see you next time on West Bloomfield 911.